So what we're going to do today is look at some of these recently asked questions. You've heard of frequently asked, where these are some of the recently asked questions that we've had. And it'll give us an opportunity to have some good discussion. So I've got three different sections of this. And at the end of each section, we're going to stop and open it up for questions. As always, you can put your questions in the chat. Our team in Pleasanton will address them. And then at the end of the session, each of the sections of this, we'll stop and let you ask questions there as well. So let's do first off, let's look at an update on cash discount. It's come a long way. A lot of things have happened in the last year and a half that have made changes to how the cash discount is used and how you should sell it. Well, first off, to know surcharge is dead. Visa and MasterCard have pretty much mandated it out of existence. They put so many restrictions on it. They put so many rules in place to use surcharge that it's really just gotten out of hand. It's too cumbersome and it's too risky to use. Risky meaning it is so easy to violate the rules and get yourself into a lot of trouble and facing some fines. These fines are not just punitive, they will put you out of business. That's the level of fine that they are talking about. As such, Adelo no longer offers a surcharge as an option, and that is for our protection, yours and the merchant. But what is still alive and well is cash discount. It lives on through what's now being called dual pricing. Cash discount is really what it is. Dual pricing is a name that was attached to it to make it sound a little bit better for the credit card companies. It still has limits, but fewer restrictions than surcharge. That meaning that you still have some limitations as to how far you can go with this, but it is legal in all 50 states. It is something that you can use with restrictions in place, just knowing that you can't go crazy with it, but you can utilize it. It does still have a maximum 5% of a discount that you can give. It is the limit. It is not our limit, it is the legal limit. It's 5%. And that really you should be limited to the effective rate. That's really what the purpose of it is not to, if the effective rate is 3%, you cannot charge 5. You have to charge the effective rate up to 5%. Therefore, it is not a source of revenue for the merchant or for the RP. It is simply to recover the cost of the processing, the effective rate. So it is not a revenue source. It cannot be. You must have proper signage in place in order to use it. And that signage must be at the door and at the point of sale. So you have to really show the customer that you're doing this. And there is certain wording for that signage. We have that available to you. It's on our website. You can download the signs, print them out for your customers, but the proper verbiage, we do have that for you. And yes, Visa, MasterCard, they are checking and will check to make sure that signage is up. And that is probably going to be the easiest way for them to catch or find somebody. And yes, we've seen people get fined, and it's not an easy fine to pay. It's not a small amount of money at all. So yes, we have seen people get fined for this. Put the proper signage up, do it correctly. Definitively, it is not available on Adelo POS and never will be. So we continue to get this question over and over again. It is not now, nor ever will be available on Adelo POS. It is available on all versions of Adelo Express, that is iPad or Android. It is included with Adelo Pay. And if you're a SaaS customer, it's only $59 a month per store, not per device, but it's per store. the receipts do have certain guidelines and certain things you must do on the receipt in order for it to be legal according to Visa and MasterCard. And we've already taken care of that for you. So you don't have to worry about it. What we show and what we do is totally within the guidelines. Guidelines say that the menu price should be the credit price. So it should be the higher price. The total then is shown on the ticket is the credit price. Then right below, the cash total is shown. And that's it. That's it, period. End of story. There doesn't have to be anything else on the receipt. That receipt, as you're seeing here, is the proper way to do it. That is within the guidelines. You don't have to alter it, do anything else, worry about it. That's it. If you do go and put verbiage into the receipt, the footer, be very careful with that verbiage, in that you don't want to create a problem with Visa or MasterCard by putting extra verbiage that makes it offensive or puts them into a bad light, because that will get you in trouble. As you see it right here, that's the legal. That's the receipt. That's the way it's supposed to be. Modelo Express will adjust the sale if it's paid with cash, check, or PIN debit. Those three ways, the software will adjust the sale back down to the lower level, to the cash amount, and give whatever discounts programmed into the system. Either cash, check, or PIN debit will get you that. Now, a tool that we have that's going to make it easier for you to help your customer is the advanced pricing module. It's a tool that you can use to do bulk price changes. You can do those price changes by individual item, groups of items, or the entire database. It's very simple to do. And it's we have people who will train you on it, or we have videos that show how to do it. But it's a really good tool for you to do that. It allows you then to set those prices at a certain level and then adjust those up or down, usually up, based upon the restaurant's cost of goods. Maybe the cost of the product's gone up and they need to adjust. Or in this case, we're talking about cash discounts, going and placing a charge or a credit price on those items. Simplest thing to do is what we recommend is start pricing the menu in whole amounts and with 25-cent increments. That way, the 25-cent increment usually would cover the credit price over the cash price. And as things adjust, you can adjust in increments of 25 cents instead of going into whole dollars or that 0.95. It no longer does it have to be $9.95. It can just be 10. It doesn't have to be any odd amounts, any strange amounts either. It can be 10, 10.25, 10.50, 10.75, or 11. Those increments are easily absorbed and understood by the end user in the diner. This is what we recommend, and I think you'll find that that tool allows you very easy access to do that. So now let's stop and have some questions. We've got everybody here ready to answer those questions. Let's make sure that we got it right. Jeff, what do you have in the I've seen some chats going across.
No, it looks like the chat's fairly clear, Jerry.
Oh,
so this is Ron. Can you hear me okay? I have a question.
Yeah.
So being involved with a lot of retail locations without point of sale, there's a big push, obviously, in this dual pricing. A lot of different companies or processors will do daily discounts so that the fees are taken out on a daily basis instead of a monthly basis. And I'm just wondering if that is a possibility or may ever be a possibility with Aldelo Pay.
Jeff, what are you going to do there?
So are you looking exactly for what?
So the question is let's say that a restaurant does just for ease of numbers, let's say they do $1,000 in transactions. And the amount charged is actually going to be like $1,040 because there's going to be credit charges in there, or however we want to word that. Right now, that merchant gets paid $1,040 on the next day or the day after. On a daily discount, the processor would keep that $40, and then the merchant would get their $1,000, which would match up with their cash, or excuse me, their credit sales for the month.
Yeah,
it's not a huge
unfortunately,
deal,
because
it's
of the
just-
way that First Data and TSYS both handle this, it's extremely confusing. They don't,
Yeah,
what you're looking at is very, very streamlined and very nice. First Data and TSYS, who are the back-end processors, don't allow you to have such a simplified daily discount. They require, and even when they do have daily discount, they're not pulling out enough money to cover the entirety of the month's processing. In fact, it's usually a fairly
Right.
small percentage.
right.
This isn't really something we handle. It's not something we can do anything about because we are not the actual processor. We are the gateway provider.
Yep.
So that's something that's unfortunately beyond our control.
Okay. Okay. We'll just let everybody continue to know that's just how it's going to be, and that's fine.
The menu should just have one price on it, which would be the credit price. They do wish to post on there that a discount will be given for cash, they can do that. Just be careful about how much verbiage you put into that. You don't want to have anything that's going to look like it's a slander against the credit card company. But yes, you want to have the menu to show the credit price.
Perfect.
Hey, Jerry Howard here. How you
Yes,
doing?
sir. What's up?
Where exactly should that signage be?
So, Gary, you're going to want to review the information on our website
Yeah,
because it is posted there. It has all the information that you need for that. There are several places around the business that it must be posted, including the point of sale, entry doors before you go into the business. And it depends on the type of setup of the business. And Visa has some very good information out there that even goes even further of what they would like to see and they advise people to have. What we have on our website is the actual requirement of what is required for them to have. So I would really advise you to go there. Plus, we do have the signage posted there that is easy to download and utilize.
Okay. Well, the main reason why I asked that is because I got a current merchant that has taken his sign and put it on a wall behind the cashier, and I tried to explain to them that they need to have full disclosure to the customer. So I
Disclosed before the patron enters the business.
yeah.
Yep. You gotta at least be on the door, Gary.
I know
And that's a $5,000 mistake.
I know almost all of my merchants have it on all their doors coming in, and right in front of the category. This one merchant though, he took everything down and put it. And I told him, listen, if you get fined, don't blame me. So, anyways,
You gotta have it at least on the door, Gary.
Yeah.
And that $5,000 fine is what we're talking about. And it could be not just once, it could be per day, per occurrence. It can get really ugly in a hurry.
I know.
10 days is $50,000. That puts people out of business.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Okay. Anything else before I move on?
I think.
About the pricing you was talking about a while ago, the dual pricing. I know I seen that one time that you could download and it would automatically change the pricing on the menu to accommodate the 3 or 4 or 2%. Can Aldelo do that as well? I mean,
Yeah, that was the advanced pricing module that I mentioned. Exactly that. Even though you could do a percentage, you're going to wind up with some really odd numbers in there.
yeah.
So we recommend that you do something like a 25-cent raise, or something that gets it to a $10, $10.25, $10.50, $10.75, something like that. That's easier for the customer to understand.
That's what you meant by okay. I was
Yeah.
I was wondering why you were talking about the quarters. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, don't, if it's gonna be $10.72, just make it $10.75.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then on, you can do 25-cent increases if needed.
Okay. Now I'm curious if they did that. That's actually working outside of the cash discount or the reverse cash discount or dual pricing, isn't it? Because all they're doing
Outside of it,
is changing the
it's
price.
still, there's other reasons to raise a price. There's a cost of goods could be the reason to raise the price.
Yeah.
Competition could be the reason to adjust price. So even though we're talking about it in a cash discount context, there's other
Yeah.
reasons to raise prices or
Oh,
adjust
yeah.
prices. So let's get them into your customer, get your customer used to this 25-cent raise or adjustment, so they don't get their menus all out of whack with $10.72 for a burger combo when they could do $10.75.
Okay. You're right.
You're going to be a consultant, and you're going to help your customer be more competitive and be more better received by their customer.
All right. Thank you.
Right. All right, Jeff. Anything else before we move on?
No, I think you covered everything.
Okay. All right, the next one we get a lot of questions about is caller ID and customer profile. We did a class, a Wednesday class, and had a lot of questions about this. So I thought we'd just go over it today. Who's calling? They spell it kind of weird, but who's calling is the actual product name. You get it from going to callerid.com. That website gives you a ton of information about this product, even gives you the pricing. It comes in 2, 4, or 8 line models, as you see pictured here. When you are pricing it, you're going to need the deluxe model. They have 2, you need the deluxe model. And it is an Ethernet connection. Do not get the serial connection, get the Ethernet connection. That's the one that we've tested and we know it works. So what it does is it matches the caller ID with the customer profile that's in the system. And then brings that profile up, and the operator knows who's calling, pun intended, before they even pick up the phone. So they're able to address the customer by name as they pick up that phone. They also can look up the purchase history. And here's your first pop quiz. How many orders can be looked up? How many orders do we track? And the answer is all of them. Every order ever placed by that customer is in the system. And it can be then set up to show, is it by order type? So you have the dine-in, you have the to-go orders, you have the delivery orders, you have all the different orders by type in the system. You can have them, that operator now can look up and see, oh, you on your last order, you did dot, 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 dot. Would you like to reorder that? So one finger touch recalls the order. And if the customer would like to reorder, they can either do a 2-finger touch or touch the plus sign on the top right-hand corner and reorder that order. And then they can make the adjustments. They can add to or deduct from the order then before it gets processed. So here, any questions now about caller ID?
Looks like the chat's quiet, Jerry.
It is. That caller ID that's the one that's been around forever. So it's very common, but we still get a lot of questions about it and how it works. And our system is going to look up that caller ID, bring up the customer profile. That operator then gets to see who's calling, pick out the order if they wish to reorder something, and then process the order in a natural way. All right, let's move it on then. We've had some questions about customer facing display. I've had them this week about this. And so let's cover this. Questions like, can the customer sign on the display? And that's a big yes. What happens is you get to the end of the sale, touch, tap, dip the credit card, and this pops up. You can then put in your tip. Suggested tips do display. And sign on the customer display. We've had the question, does the customer display show the item? And absolutely it does. Each item can have its own image. And that image is the one that's in the point of sale. And can promotional videos run? And the answer is yes there as well. Now, here's the trick though. To get the videos to run on the customer display, then that video must be loaded on that iPad, on the customer display iPad. It loads in the photos section of the iPad. And if it's loaded there in the setup of the display, you can then choose to have different promos running while the display's in a inactive status. And that is, it's just sitting there between orders. It's going to run these promotional videos on the system. So videos can run as a promotion. Images do display on the iPad for each item that has an image. What iPad do we use for the customer display? And the answer is any iPad. You just can't use an Android. It's an iPad only. So can you pair with an Android? So can you have Android as the point of sale terminal? And can you then pair an iPad with that Android? The answer is yes. So you can be Android on the front, iPad on the back. You can be iPad on the front and iPad on the back. It doesn't matter. It just has to be an iPad for the customer display. So does it work with a scale? Does it show the scale amounts? And the answer is yes, it certainly does. All right, any questions on customer display?
Just a good question about how many times you can actually split that screen on the customer display. And it's a 50-50 split. You're going to have a 50% of the screen is going to be, actually it's a little less than 50% of the screen is your pictures and things that you want. And the remaining amount of the screen is the kitchen or the customer receipt that's being displayed. So, and if you get to a settlement screen or a specialty screen, then that will be 100% of the screen is used for the whatever that action is.
You do have a choice of image on the left, image on the right, or image up top. So there's 3 different formats that you can set the customer display up in.
I think I got all of our questions though, Jerry.
All right. Next up, integrations and imports. Uber Eats. How hard is it to set up Uber Eats in the system? There's a couple of steps. One is you check the box, and the second one is you connect the account to Uber Eats. You do those 2 things, and it completes in a matter of seconds. It's not hard. So you do have to have your Uber Eats account done first. Then you check the box in Express to say load this and make this connection happen. You then sign in or enter your Uber Eats username information there, and then the system uploads immediately. Takes a few seconds, and then you're done. Now on the Uber Eats side, it's going to take a little while for it to go through their system, but it's pretty instant on our side. Next question, we still get this question is, can you import the database from Modelo POS? And the answer obviously is yes. Yeah, you sure can. We even have a tool to do it. We've got videos that show you how to do it, or we can help you do that. But yes, you can upgrade from APOS to Express. And can you import gift cards? We get that. We still get that question. A lot of you know the answer. It is yes. And to do that, you contact support. This is not something that I think's as common as we would like to see it, but other companies don't do it. We do. We will import that for you. This is another one we continue to get is, can you display KDS on a larger screen? Obviously, yes, you can. What you do is an HDMI connection. You're going to have a special dongle on the iPad. It's going to have the Lightning connector going in, but the one coming out is going to have an HDMI and a power port. So you'll have 2 ports on that connector. One of them is going to run to the power supply, and the other one's going to run up to the HDMI port on the bigger monitor. And then that's just a matter of how big a monitor you want. We don't recommend you do it through Apple Connect, the Apple Play. You don't do it that way. Go ahead and connect it with the actual physical cable. You'll get a much better connection, and it will last and last and last. It'll just go. It just runs. All right. Questions about integrations, imports, or anything
I
else?
did have one here asking on the Uber Eats, do they need to have an Uber Eats account set up first? And yes, you do need to have an Uber Eats account. The process is actually very easy. Uber Eats sets you up an account. Once you have that, you'll have a username and password. You go into the marketplace, turn on that you want Uber Eats. It'll automatically add that to your menu column on the left-hand side of your options there. You'll click on that. It'll ask you to log into your Uber Eats account. You'll log in, takes a couple of seconds, and will take you straight into your setup screens, which will ask you a few basic things like what times you're open, things like this, if there's upcharges and things like this for using Uber Eats. And then it'll have you test the connections. And at that point, you're done. As far as Aldelo is concerned, your system's set up and ready to go. On the Uber Eats side, the only thing you have to do is log into their website and actually make sure that you can publish your website, because they do request that you review it before you publish it. But that's all there is to it. It's very easy. And then we do have a question here about the KDS. You're mentioning using a VGA connection. You can use a VGA or HDMI. The software doesn't care. It's in fact, you could do several ways other than both of those that we're not really supporting too much, but HDMI works just as well as a VGA. Have a good time.
Yeah, I use HDMI when I connect mine, and it can go any TV or monitor that uses HDMI.
And then we have somebody asking, does Uber Eats take the prices from Aldelo Express? Yes, they do.
And in that,
Takes
you
all the
do
menu
have
items, the
multiple
pictures,
prices.
everything.
It has the ability to have a price just for the third-party sites, just like Uber. So you can have your in-house price, and you can have your Uber price.
Yeah. I think that's all the questions we have there, Jerry.
Okay. Yeah, Doug, it is pretty cool. It is a very good interface, and we know it works. All right, any other questions?
I think we got them all.
Jeff, I'm glad we did it today. I'm glad we did this. We seem to have covered a lot of good ground and good questions. Got those answered. I think that's going to help us out.
I think you did a fantastic job. We got some great information out there. So thank you.